Welcome back, everybody, to the Denver Dzogchen podcast. I'm here once again with Joseph Wagner, and we are going to continue our series on the Ngondro. And today's episode is about the Mandala Offering. And I'm stoked to bring this to you because the Mandala Offering is like the quintessential method for accumulation of merit. And in my experience, and many people I know, when they were doing their mandala offerings is when they had many of their strongest signs, because you are generating so much merit that really big shifts can happen in your life. And so I'm excited to hear from you, Joe, about the Mandala Offering and how we can understand it and its purpose. And yeah, excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to be here too. Thank you, Damien, and welcome everyone. Happy that we're continuing on with this. I hope you guys enjoyed our last one, which was Father Tizo, which is pretty cool. And he's going to be back. For those of you who are wondering, it was a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it was just how it worked out. But he'll be back. Anyway, Damien, thanks so much for continuing to put these things together. We're very grateful. I'm very grateful. The Mandala Offering, yeah. In the 5-part Ngondro, then we've got Refuge and Bodhicitta, and then we've got Vajrasattva, and then comes the Mandala Offering. In the 4-part where the Refuge and Bodhicitta are combined, then obviously you do those together, and then Vajrasattva, and then the Mandala Offering. This is usually like a shift in people's practice. It was for me when I did my Ngondro the first time, because before this, you're more on the purification side. You know, it's all about purification, right? The way Ngondro Rinpoche teaches it, the prostrations themselves are like not only a purification of speech and a purification of mind on some degree, but because of the prostrations, you're stretching your nadis out and you're purifying the subtle body as well. Bodhicitta is the same, you know, whether you do those together or separate, the same kind of energy of like purifying yourself of this selfish attitude and bringing in this bodhisattva viewpoint that we're going to try to live from for the rest of our days. And then Vajrasattva is a totally pure state of purification, right? I mean, there are some phases of Vajrasattva where there's real deep resting and recognition can be attained simply because you are kind of washing away so much. But here we're going to turn the corner and start talking about the other half of the Vajrayana path. And as many of the teachers teach it, the whole of the practice is only gathering the accumulations, purifying obscurations, and receiving the blessings. And since all the practices have to do with receiving the blessings, primarily, you know, the focus of that is the Guru Yoga, which we'll talk about next time. But in order to even be able to receive the blessings, in order to make use of the fact that you've done all this hard work up to this point of all these prostrations, all these recitation of Vajrasattva mantra, for most people, the prostrations are kind of the hardest because it has that physical aspect, unless you get in there real lucky when you're very young and you're an athlete or something. Otherwise, it's a challenge. And then the Vajrasattva for a lot of people is also really challenging. We talked about this last time, but you're really, all of your stuff comes up. And as you said before, during the Mandala Offering, sometimes people get a lot of signs because of so much merit accumulation. You also get signs in the Vajrasattva, but they're not usually 100% positive, right? I mean, maybe at the end you get some purification dreams, which are nice. But the first time I was doing the Ngondro, I totaled my car, I lost my job, I had like all kinds of stuff happening. And it's because it's important to remember, as we enter into this next phase of the Ngondro discussion, it's important to remember that if you really want to get accomplished in this life, then you have to purify so much negative karma from so many lifetimes. Even if you're kind of on the Dzogchen side, where like one instant of light purifies millions of aeons of darkness. Yes, but you still have this karmic wheel turning. This energy is still flowing. And in order to speed that up, we do the Vajrasattva primarily. You know, the number of 100,000, I think, is just an arbitrary number, but it's become sort of a focus number. But when I did the Vajrasattva, I did a lot more than that. And it's, I could probably stand to do a whole lot more now. That was pointed out to me this last weekend, actually. So it's kind of an unending, we're always accumulating karma. So as long as we're not in the view of absolute reality. So to continue to do that is good. But having done 100,000, there's this sort of psychic shift and a sort of Ngondro shift too, which brings us to the Mandala offering.
Yeah.
Did you want to go ahead?
Oh, sure. Well, I would just say that what I really love the offering practices. I also practice quite a bit of chud practice, and it's actually it's amazing because I learned to really love this feeling of giving. Yeah, the feeling of generosity itself is a kind of bliss, right? Like you learn that like offering, you get as much enjoyment, if not more, than the people who receive what you give. And that shift mentally was like one of the big blessings of mandala practice, I think, that I learned, oh, like giving is actually the best thing in life, like the best, even the best feeling, more, but we think I want to get stuff, but you actually don't get as much of a blissful feeling from receiving as you do from giving. And when that really switches for you, then it really puts you on this fast track to gaining accomplishment, because now you enjoy positive karma. Whereas before we had so much ignorance, we didn't even know what was positive and what was negative, right?
Well said. Very well said. You're absolutely right. That's a sign when you start to enjoy giving. That's a sign of the Bodhisattva vow coming into the purview of your actual life. And that's what Mandala offering really is. If we talk about what it is, what we're doing is we're making a symbolic offering. In most of the schools, you use a little metal plate that you hold, and you use consecrated rice with stones of different, semi-precious stones and little pearls and whatever you can get. And you dye the rice with saffron water, and you turn it into, in your mind, all good things. So what you're really doing, physically, you're making these different heaps, and there's a shorter and a longer mandala offering. Usually you do the long one at first, of all the different auspicious things to offer in traditional Indian society. It comes from Indian society. If we're Tibetans, they would be offering butter and sampa and yaks and lots of yak dung to burn in the winter and whatever. In this case, it's like the precious umbrella and so forth, all these royal Indian implements. But that's just the outer part. What you're really doing is you are imagining that you have access to everything in the universe, that you are the world monarch in a sense, and you can offer everything to all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, to all of your teachers, to all beings. You are in the process of giving them everything they want, everything they could possibly want. And in the same way that if you go to a birthday party, let's say, and you're shopping around for a gift for your friend, and you find the perfect thing, whatever that happens to be, something they're going to like, when you have the opportunity to give that to them, it feels terrific, right? They get something they're like, wow, you get all this benefit, right? You get the benefit of actually giving, plus you get the benefit of their enjoyment and so forth. And the Mandala offering, is that multiplied by millions of times. You get to offer the entire universe to the most important, let's say, beings who are your teachers and who are all the Buddhas who have accomplished the path. And by giving that to them, tremendous merit is manufactured. This is like a secret tantric method for gaining incredible amount of positive karma, merit, and it's putting that in your karmic bank. And in the same way that when you purify your obscurations, before you purify them, you think you're seeing things clearly, but as you practice the Vajrasattva especially, but the other parts, in your obscurations are purified to some degree, you see things in a new light. It's the same thing with this. As you do more and more offerings and get into the mentality of it, which we'll talk about a little later, you gain all this merit, and all of a sudden, at least it was in my experience and many other people who do these practices, whether it's chud or the Ngondro practices, whatever, where you're gaining a lot of merit, your view becomes more clear. Your meditation becomes more stable. Your heart becomes more open because you have more goodness in you. You're manufacturing goodness. And in the same way that we speed up the purification of our karma, like we have so many lifetimes, and even the amount of karma we've accumulated just from this lifetime would take an equal amount of time to purify. But in using these secret and special methods, these especially blessed methods of the Vajrayana, we can speed that process up. And it's the same for the Mandala offering. Although you're making physical offering of heaps, you're imagining that light rays are going out. The offerings themselves are turning into billowing clouds of everything good. And those things are exactly what beings need, right? There are 4 types of guests. Usually in the Mandala offering, we're mostly offering to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, but also a little bit to the protectors, a little bit to our karmic creditors and so forth. And imagine that people came to your birthday party and gave you exactly what you wanted, over and over and over, and piles of it, and hundreds of piles of it. It's like amazing for them. And you would feel so grateful when the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas feel grateful to us. Then we gain incredible merit for making them happy, in a sense. Not that they really feel happy or sad, but you understand the relationship.
Yeah, and I've also found it's an opportunity to work with your own attachments, so if you visualize things that you really love, giving them away again and again can also help to purify our clinging to things. And I enjoy this, so I want you to enjoy it too. And having that kind of attitude can really free you from a lot of clinging.
That's absolutely right. All the Ngondro is the combined purification and gathering the accumulations at the same time. And that's why for most Nyingma and Kagyu practitioners, I don't know so much about how they do it in Sakya and Geluk, but for most Nyingma and Kagyu these days, the teacher gives the pointing out instructions to the nature of mind at the beginning, before the Ngondro usually. So the whole of the thing is done in the context of this very open, wide view of reality, where everything is already pure from the beginning. And then when on top of that, you also imagine, just as you said, whatever you like. I myself am a great lover of Chinese oolong tea, Taiwanese oolong tea, and have been for many years. I remember offering truckloads and boatloads and shiploads of tea to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and having them be so psyched because, of course, this kind of tea can be really delicious. Whatever it is that you love, you get to offer to them, and it becomes exactly what they love. So it's it's a give and take kind of relationship that you can really feel. The Mandala offering I found tremendously beautiful and wonderful, and I think that the people who do it who are inspired to do it by this podcast, or however they get inspired, will also find that to be true. It's a real secret method for speeding up the development of the qualities.
Yeah, then some of the other things that came from it is that I really realized when you like making offerings to different Dharma centers or to your teachers or whatever is a privilege. Like how we are privileged to be able to go online and just with a few clicks of our button, make offerings to the Dalai Lama, to, whoever you think is awesome. You can make an offering to them right away. And that's by doing that, like it helps you far more than it helps them. You're making this karmic link to that person forever. And so you can think of whoever inspires you, whoever you think has got doing something great in the world, Garchen, Rinpoche, Dalai Lama, making offerings to them. It's like this connection that you're building that will protect you over countless lifetimes, and the blessings flow back from whatever offerings you make. So instead of like this Western mentality of like stingily giving a couple dollars to whomever, just painfully, instead thinking like, I get to offer to this. And anytime, I receive the Dharma, I think of how important it is to make an offering for receiving that Dharma, because it's a kind of like a karmic debt to take the Dharma and not give anything in return. And so I know this is a common practice for some people who just go take teachings and never make any offerings. And I think that's really bad for your path. It's not. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's actually difficult to gain realization if you don't make offerings, because of the 6 paramitas, the most important for humans is generosity. And that doesn't mean, as people sort of think, well, I need to tithe, as they say in the Christian church, tithe 10% of my income or whatever. You can give any amount. And in fact, sometimes it's better to give things that are not money. I mean, online, of course, to support people's projects, it's money that makes the most difference. But I'll tell you a thing that, well, you know about it. As a group, we in my town of Denver, it's not so much prevalent right now, but say a year ago, we had a tremendous amount of homeless people begging on all corners, right? And even if you get a whole bunch of $1 bills, or even if you have the money, $5 bills, it's not that much of an impact to give them $5. So we were brainstorming in our group, as you'll remember, and someone came up with the idea of giving out Starburst, those little candies. And so I went to the Costco near my house and got a gigantic, I'm on my third one now, these gigantic containers of 500 Starburst, and I keep it in my car. And just today, I was at a light and there was a guy there, and it's a cold day here. It was like a high of 20. And I can reach in there and give a big handful of Starburst. I feel great. And the smile on their face is significantly different than even if you give them $5, And it's like, they're like, oh my God, I love these things. You're great. Thank you. This kind of energy, So there's like an immediate exchange of love, right? You love them because they're accepting your offering, and it's great to make someone feel happy. And at the very least, they have a snack for a few minutes at the very least. And they're super psyched. So you bathe in their appreciation. Well, you are appreciating them for accepting it. And it's just what you said. It's like this, right? And when we start to look at things that way, it turns us into bodhisattvas on some level. And it goes for everything. The key thing of the Mandala offering is that from the very start of it, everything is an offering. When you have to think of it as every day is an offering. Everything you do, every mouthful of food you feed yourself even is this mandala offering to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who make up your constituents, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in all directions, right? So I came back just a minute ago and I turned the heat up and the heat is blowing. You might be able to hear that. And not only is that warming me, but I imagine it's warming all beings. Now, is it actually? No, because, there are plenty of beings who are not in my house, most of them actually. But it's this turning our psychology into a merit-generating mentality that makes all of the difference. And that is the difference between just, mechanically making the mandala offering and turning your life into a mandala offering, which is what we should be doing, from when we start the mandala offering until we attain Buddhahood.
Yeah, and there's so many skillful means, like you're on Facebook and there's all these great masters and pictures of lamas. If you just like put a little comment of lotus flowers and prostrations, and you often see this, you're making offerings. And so you can make offerings even using our distracting social media and turn it into a practice. It's something we can do all the time. And like I said, it's so easy to go on PayPal and offer a few dollars to whomever. Like you said, the amount doesn't matter. It's the connection that you make through making the offering.
It's your intention that is really the most important thing. And you can gain tremendous merit by letting someone in traffic, especially if you're, caught up in the road rage that we're all in, and trying to get somewhere. When you take a break and you let somebody in, first of all, they're happy whether they show it or not. And then you're also happy. It's the same thing. And it takes me to a story. I think it's in Words of My Perfect Teacher, where Patrul Rinpoche tells the story of the old woman who offered, I don't know, one handful of rice or something to the Buddha. And the Buddha told his disciples, she is going to be out at the end of this life because of this offering. It's, of course, part of it is how precious it is to us. And the harder it is to do. So if you have more money, of course, giving more money is good, right? But with these skillful means, we can do a lot more than we could do even if we were very rich and we were very generous. And that's the key thing, because it is, in a sense, the world is inside of us, right? And we're really working to change our experience of the world, which, all of Vajrayana is about pure perception. The difference between Vajrayana, Mahayana, and Theravada is that Vajrayana, the focus is pure perception. And this is a way of becoming, in a sense, Lord Jambala, or whoever wealth deity you like, where everything you give, every heap you make of just rice and stones, it's not gold. Some people I've heard use actual precious stones or all gold flakes or pearls or something, and that's beautiful if you can do it. But even if you have a flat stone and you offer sand, if your intention is correct, you still get the merit. And that's what I just love about the Vajrayana. So it really is that the key thing is a mental shift from when you start the mandala offering. From then on, I see someone drive by, the roads here are still packed with snow. I can offer them a prayer that their drive is safe, just like that. I don't have to run out and give them a piece of paper saying, look, I made this prayer for you. They don't have to know about it. It's not that important.
Yeah. Well, and this reminds me too that how important it is to dedicate our merit. Because if you doing the mandala practice and suddenly everything in your life starts going super killer and you just enjoy all of it, which is a danger. There's actually Lord Jigden Sumgun, he has a dedication praise and may my actions not result in the 8 worldly concerns, right? Because you can have your karma, the positive karma just results in pleasure instead of pain and a higher, material possessions or whatever, which of course can be lovely, but that's not the aim of our accumulation.
No, it's to really get ourselves out of the way, right? When
Yeah.
one receives the initial instructions in Dzogchen meditation, what is pointed out is the absence of self. So if we don't live from that, if we don't realize that there's nobody really home, then we can get caught up in this thing where we're making the merit and our experience is changing, just as you say, which sometimes it will change just in the course of 100,000 mandala offerings. People get jobs, or people recover from illnesses, all kinds of stuff, simply because you're rowing the merit boat really quick. But as you say, if you don't make a purpose out of dedicating the merit from every session, and it's important to do even at the end of every day, then that stuff will cycle back, and it might benefit you in the short term, but that leads to being like a Gyalpo here in this world, like a king spirit, where you are maybe doing positive things, but you're also reaping the benefits and enjoying that in a way that is, it can use up part of that merit. So of course, the making of the offerings and the dedicating of all the goodness for it are equally important.
Yeah, to remember, like, we're accumulating merit so that we attain enlightenment, so that we can help all sentient beings, and keeping our boat pointed in that direction so that we don't go, ooh, I'd like to accumulate merit so I can live in a mansion and have a really good, life situation. If we start pointing the boat in that direction, which is so easy to do, then we might accomplish that, but we will not have progressed towards enlightenment. But if we keep our boat pointed with that bodhicitta motivation, then we might get some positive material results. But as long as our boat stays aimed in the right direction, then we will keep moving forward. And as you said, especially being free of the 3 spheres, which is the giver, the object being given, and the receiver of the giving, that if we keep the wisdom mind that knows that those are all empty, then we can do that kind of give and take, as you were saying, where it's a constant flow instead of a mine and theirs, and reifying duality even stronger.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are so many skillful means in this practice. And the main one that we use is our imagination, right? We can imagine anything. And from a Buddhist perspective, everything we see and everything we hear is already imagination. So all we're really doing is getting inside that mechanism and shifting it to be a pure motivation. And when you do that, you do start to see changes in your life. And it's okay to celebrate that.
Yeah.
I throw out a few little key pointers that have helped me a lot. Anytime you eat in a restaurant and there are other people around, everybody's enjoying, to gather that up and offer that can be really powerful, because it's kind of a celebratory thing. Nobody's cooking who's eating, right? They're all sitting there and someone's bringing it like they're a king, a queen, right? Bringing to recognize that and offer it up is wonderful. To rejoice when something good happens. I think this is a very clever thing that I heard, and I like doing it, and I offer it to you guys out there. When something good happens to you, it takes tremendous merit for positive things to happen on any level, whether they're the Olympics being pulled off or you getting a piece of mail you were waiting for, whatever. You can also offer not only when you do good things, but the merit that was required for these good things to occur. You can also offer that. So you can get like an exponential benefit. You know what I mean? You can offer your own enjoyment of something. So when you are enjoying the food, it isn't that you just offer the food and then you shovel it in, right? You can actually offer your own enjoyment of the food and your enjoyment of the fact that you're generating merit by offering that enjoyment, and it can become very powerful. And I have a feeling that this is how masters of the past really went, like Milarepa, right? Someone with a great amount of negative karma and not a whole lot of good karma, his poor family, father died young, all this stuff, to make such incredible gains in such a short time. How do you do that? With these special skillful means, and to recognize that, even you just come back, you're tired, you sit down on the couch, you can offer that. You can offer that relaxation, that fact that there's a couch there, that it supports you, that it's going to be there tomorrow or whatever, the duration of it, and the fact that you have a house where you can turn the heat on. There's a lot of this stuff. And the more you think about it, the more opportunities you see. Every time you reach in your cupboard for pepper, ground pepper, that stuff comes from Indonesia. It's not like nothing had to happen for you to have pepper. It's not materializing like in Star Trek, right? It's actually coming, and someone had to do that. You can offer all of that work. Every time you take a sip of coffee, because everyone loves coffee so much, and you can offer the coffee itself. You can offer the fact that you are able to buy the coffee, that you're in a position to do that. You can offer the merit that generated that possibility. You can offer all of the work that went into that cup of coffee and all of the sunny days that ripened those coffee beans. All of that can be done, and it can be done in an instant. And that can generate, this is how you do it, right? This is the secret method. It isn't because you plop some stones on a plate and rubbed it with your wrist that you got anything. It was nothing like that, right? It's this attitudinal switch, this intentional living that we're really trying to do.
Yeah, that in the King of Dedication prayers, the King of Aspiration prayers of Samantabhadra, at the very end, it says, I offer this, that all their aspirations may be fulfilled. And through the merit generated by that dedication, now may everyone go to Amitabha's Pure Land. So it multiplies by dedicating it, and then you can dedicate it again, and it's even stronger, just as you said. And it also reminds me of all of the skillful means that we have available to us. It's real easy to think about all the negative things that come about through technology. But I've got a new practice that I do, and you can go on YouTube, and there's videos of all of Guru Rinpoche's caves. So you can go watch a video of Guru Rinpoche's cave and do prostrations to his cave. And really, there's no difference in merit between going there and doing it to your TV. Of course, there's merit generated in the effort to go, etc. But yes, if you have a lot of faith, there's as much benefit as making offerings to those sacred holy places. Garchen Rinpoche says this, you just watching a video of him is the same. So we can make offerings to teachers, to sacred places, just by using technology.
Absolutely. I have one of these little things, right? I can't right here, this little photo frame thing. I'm not getting my finger in the right place. And it's hooked up to your phone, and you can upload photos. I got pictures on there, right, of Bhutan. I also have pictures of my gurus. And last night, a picture of Karmapa came up. And I just felt so much faith. I love 16th Karmapa. I started to make prostrations to the screen. This makes merit on so many levels, right? On so many levels. The fact that I got up, the fact that I have that thing, I can offer the fact that someone gave me that thing as a Christmas present, one of the people in our Sangha, which was such a generous gift. So I can offer up their generosity too. And in the same way, double down or quadruple down on all this stuff, which I think is really the secret of the Mandala offering and the secret of soaring along the path anyway. It has to do with not only the immediate cause, but the previous causes and what will be generated from that and so forth. And yeah. I think when you start to think about this in a broader way, you realize wow, it's really in our hands. We have enough in one day. We could make all the Mandala offerings we need for a whole lifetime. If we just can, have enough attention, enough drenpa, mindfulness to remember to do it. Because every time I sit down, I like to sit in the full lotus. It's auspicious to sit in the full lotus. The Buddha sat that way. If I just put my legs in the full lotus and think, how awesome. May all beings sit in the full lotus. May they enjoy yogic postures. May they benefit from meditation, whatever. Then even my own comfortable sitting posture can actually benefit all beings. It's pretty cool. I love Mandala offering for that reason, because a lot of stuff comes together in the Mandala offering, and you get this, you get to do something you like to do anyway. Like you said in the beginning, it's awesome to give gifts. And when you think that what you're actually giving is exactly what they want, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they don't want anything, right? But So you make the offering goddesses do that part. But if you're making, like you're doing a songcho, and you make offerings to the 4 guests, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the protectors, the 6th class of beings, and then your karmic creditors, you can really shore up a lot of that business with offering entirely mentally or just with your speech. They don't have to be present. They could be dead even. And you could still offer to them, and all of the merit is still generated. It's a very cool, almost psychedelic practice in that it's merit within merit within merit within merit. It's a very neat way to do it. I think the Vajrayana really shines in this part of the Ngondro.
Yeah, and then this is exactly why it's the swift and not so difficult path. You know, we don't have to go through the incredible, arduous things like Shakyamuni did, because we have these incredible Vajrayana methods that he offered to us. So we're really, really fortunate. And as always, it's been so excellent talking with you and talking about the Ngondro.
Yeah, we could talk about this stuff forever. But yeah, may everyone make offerings, even if you're not doing the Ngondro. Next time you eat something, imagine all beings eating whatever they want, and you get it right there. It's the same kind of energy.
Yeah. So, and thank you to you for watching our show. I rejoice that you watch our show and have interest in the Dharma to even watch our show. And if you do enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and share so that more people can enjoy this show. I appreciate that. And Joe appreciates that. Thank you. And we'll be back next time to talk about the Guru Yoga, which is so awesome. So I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Damien.